Great news! His Majesty's eldest daughter, Princess Zara, who left our shores 5 years since to go to England, the greatest, the most powerful, the wisest country in the world, has taken a high degree at Girton and is on her way home again, having achieved a complete mastery over all the elements that have tended to raise that glorious country to her present preeminent position among civilized nations.
Then in a few months, Utopia may hope to be completely anglicized?
Absolutely and without a doubt.
We are very well as we are. Life without a care, everyone supplied by a kind and fatherly monarch who, despot though he be, has no other thought than to make his people happy. What have we to gain by the great change that is in store for us?
What have we to gain? English institutions, English tastes, and English fashion.
England has made herself what she is because in that favored land, everyone has to think for himself. Here, we have no need to think because our monarch anticipates all our wants, and our political opinions are formed for us by the journals to which we subscribe. Oh, think how much more brilliant this dialogue would have been if we'd been accustomed to exercise our reflective powers. They say that in England, the conversation of the very meanest is a coruscation of impromptu epigrams. Stop, I beg.
Stop him! Stop him!
My lord, I'm surprised at you. Are you not aware that His Majesty, in his despotic acquiescence with the emphatic wish of his people, has ordered that the Utopian language shall be banished from his court, and that all communication shall henceforward be made in the English tongue?
Yes, I'm perfectly aware of it. Although, stop, allow me.
Now what's that for?
Why, I've recently been appointed public exploder to His Majesty, and as I'm constitutionally nervous, I must accustom myself by degrees to the startling nature of my duties. Thank you. I was about to say that, although as public exploder, I'm next in succession to the throne, I nevertheless do my best to fall in with the royal decree. But when I am overmastered by an indignant sense of overwhelming wrong, as I am now, I slip into my native tongue without knowing it. I am told that in the language of that great and pure nation, strong expressions do not exist. Consequently, when I want to let off steam, I have no alternative but to say,
But what is your grievance?
this. By our constitution, we are governed by a despot who, although in theory absolute, is, in practice, nothing of the kind, being watched day and night by two wise men whose duty it is, on his very first lapse from political or social propriety, to denounce him to me, the public exploder, and it then becomes my duty to blow up His Majesty with dynamite. Allow me. Thank you. And as some compensation to my wounded feelings, I reign in his stead.
Yes. After many unhappy experiments in the direction of an ideal republic, it was found that what may be described as a despotism tempered by dynamite provides, on the whole, the most satisfactory description of a ruler, an autocrat who dares not abuse his autocratic power.
That's the theory, but in practice, how does it act? Now, do you ever happen to see the Palace Peeper?
Oh, the Palace Peeper.
Never even heard of the journal.
I'm not surprised, because His Majesty's agents always buy up the whole edition. But I have an aunt in the publishing department, and she has supplied me with a copy. Well, it actually teems with circumstantially convincing details of the king's abominable immoralities. If this high-class journal may be believed, His Majesty is one of the most Heliogabalian profligates that ever disgraced an autocratic throne. And do these wise men denounce him to me? Not a bit of it. They wink at his immoralities. Under the circumstances, I really think I am justified in exclaiming, I don't care. The occasion demands it.
into law. The statement smacks of vanity.
We claim to rank before
Before
the wisest of humanity.
This gives the pen and
And heart
we're wasted on utility.
we're cast to play a part
Upon
of great responsibility.
our duty is to spy,
To spy
upon our king's felicities.
and keep a watchful eye
For lie.
upon his eccentricities. If ever a trick he tries to save us of rascality. At our decree he dies without the least formality.
We fear no rude rebuff, or newspaper publicity.
Our word is quite enough.
Enough.
The rest is electricity.
A pound of dynamite explodes in his auriculars.
It's not a pleasant sight.
Some sight.
We spare you the particulars.
Its force our men confess. The king needs no admonishing.
We may say its success
Success.
is something quite astonishing. A despotic imbues with virtues quite delectable. He binds his P's and Q's and keeps himself respectable.
Of a tyrant polite,
He's a paragon quite.
he's as modest and mild.
In his ways is a child.
And no one ever met with an autocrat yet.
So delightfully blind to the least in the land.
So delightfully blind to the least in the land.
So land.
They make way for the wise men, they are wise men, double festive approaching adversity. For the lovely is my land, which is my land, she has never to mention adversity.
Vantis, you are not in your customary exuberant spirits. What is wrong?
Scaphio, I think you once told me that you have never loved.
Never. I have often marveled at the fairy influence which weaves its rosy web about the faculties of the greatest and wisest of our race. But I thank heaven I have never been subjected to its singular fascination, for, oh, Fantas, there is that within me that tells me that when my time does come, the convulsion will be tremendous. When I love, it will be with the accumulated fervor of 66 years. But I have an ideal. A semi-transparent being filled with an inorganic pink jelly. And I have never yet seen the woman who approaches within immeasurable distance of it. All are opaque, opaque.
Keep that ideal firmly before you, and love not until you find her. Though but 55, I am an old campaigner in the battlefields of love, and believe me, it is better to be as you are, heart-free and happy, than as I am, eternally racked with doubting agonies. Scaphio, the Princess Zara returns from England today.
Oh, my poor boy, I see it all.
Oh, Scaphio, she is so beautiful. Ah, you smile, for you have never seen her. She sailed for England 3 months before you took office.
Now tell me, is your affection requited?
I do not know. I am not sure. Sometimes I think it is, and then come these torturing doubts. I feel sure that she does not regard me with absolute indifference, for she could never look at me without having to go to bed with a sick headache.
That is surely something. Come, take heart, boy. You are young and beautiful. What more could maiden want?
Ah, Scaphio. Remember, she returns from a land where every youth is as a young Greek god, and where such poor beauty as I can boast is seen at every turn.
Be of good cheer. Marry her, boy, if so your fancy wills, and be sure that love will come.
Then you will assist me in this?
Why, surely. Silly one, what have you to fear? We have but to say the word, and a father must consent. Is he not our very slave? Come, take heart. I cannot bear to see you sad.
Now I may hope indeed. Scaphio, you have placed me on the very pinnacle of human joy.
Let all your doubts take wing, our influence is great. If paramount our king presume to hesitate, put on the screw and caution him that he will do disaster grim that must ensue to life and limb should he poo-poo this harmless whim.
This harmless whim,
This harmless whim.
this harmless whim,
This harmless whim.
it is as I say, a harmless whim, a harmless whim. Observe this dance, which I employ, when I by chance go mad with joy. What sentiment does this express? What sentiment does this express? bring content and happiness. Of course it does, of course it does. Bring content and happiness. Of course it does, of course it does. It's happiness. Your friendly aid conferred, I need no longer pine. I but to speak the word, and lo, the maid is mine. I do not choose to be denied, no wish to lose a lovely bride. If to refuse the king decide the royal shoes, then woe betide. Woe betide. Then woe betide. Woe betide. Then woe betide. The royal shoes, then woe betide. Then woe betide.
Except to use, I condescend, whene'er I choose to serve a friend. What it implies, I'll try to guess. What it implies, I'll try to guess. It typifies unselfishness.
Of course it does, of course it does. It typifies unselfishness. Of course it does, of course it does. Unselfishness.
autocratic power we, a despot who's tyrannic with his law, whose rule is paramount o'er land and sea, a presence of unutterable awe. But though the awe that I inspire must shrivel with imperial fire, all foes whom it may chance to touch, to judge by what I see and hear, it does not seem to interfere with popular enjoyment much.
No, no, it does not interfere with our enjoyment much.
tremendous when we rouse ourselves to strike, resistless when our tide and thunder peals. We often wonder what obstructions like, and how a contradicted monarch feels. But though it is our royal whim, our royal sails to set and trim, to suit whatever winds may blow, what Buffett's contradiction deals, and our thwarted monarch feels, we probably shall never know.
No, what thwarted monarch feels, we'll never, never know.
My subjects all, it is your wish emphatic that all Utopia shall henceforth be modelled upon that glorious country called Great Britain, to which some add, but others do not, Ireland.
It is!
That being so, as you insist upon it, we have arranged that our two younger daughters, who have been finished by an English lady, our grave and good and gracious English lady, shall daily be exhibited in public, that all may learn what from the English standpoint is looked upon as maidenly perfection. Come hither, daughters.
perfect stranger meets two well-behaved young ladies. He's attractive, young and active, each a little bit afraid is. Youth advances at his glances, to their danger they awaken. They repel him as they tell him he is very much mistaken, very, very much mistaken. Though they speak to him politely, please observe their sneering slightly, just to show he's acting vainly. This is virtue saying plainly, go away, young bachelor, we are not what you take us for. When addressed impertinently, English ladies answer gently, go away, young bachelor, we are not what you take us for.
English ladies answer gently, when addressed impertinently, go away, young bachelor, we're not what you take us for.
As he gazes, and he raises, enters into conversation, makes excuses, this produces interesting agitation. He with daring, undespairing, gives his card, his ring, discloses, little heeding, this proceeding, they turn up their little noses, yes, their little noses. Pray observe this lesson vital, when a man of rank and title his position first discloses, always cock your little noses. When at home let all the class try this in the looking glass. English girls of well-bred notions shun all unrehearsed emotions. English girls of highest class practice them before the glass.
English girls of well-bred notions shun all unrehearsed emotions. English girls of highest class practice them before the glass.
His intentions, then he mentions something definite to go on, makes recitals of his titles, insect settlements and so on. Smiling sweetly, they discreetly ask for further evidences. Thus invited, he delighted, gives the usual references. Don't forget the references. This is business, it is fluttered, when the author's fairly uttered, which of them has his affection, he declines to make selection. Do they quarrel for his dross? Not a bit of it, they toss. Ah, please observe this cogent moral. English ladies never quarrel. When a doubt they come across, English ladies always toss.
Please observe this cogent moral. English ladies never quarrel. When a doubt they come across, English ladies always toss.
The lecture's ended. In 10 minutes space 'twill be repeated in the marketplace.
requested Scaffio and Fantis to be so good as to favor me with an audience this morning. Oh, here they are.
Your Majesty wished to speak with us, I believe. You needn't keep your crown on our account, you know.
I beg your pardon. I always forget that. Odd, the notion of a king not being allowed to wear one of his own crowns in the presence of two of his own subjects.
Yes, bizarre, is it not?
Most quaint. But then, it's a quaint world.
Teems with quiet fun. I often think what a lucky thing it is that you are blessed with such a keen sense of humor.
Do you know, I find it invaluable. Do what I will, I cannot help looking at the humorous side of things, for, properly considered, everything has its humorous side. Even the palace peeper. See here, another royal scandal by Junius Jr. How long is this to last? By Senex Senior. Ribble royalty by Mercury Major. Where is the public exploder by Mephistopheles Minor? When I reflect that all these outrageous attacks on my morality are written by me at your command, well, it's one of the funniest things that have come within the scope of my experience.
Besides, apart from that, they have a quiet humor of their own which is simply irresistible.
Not bad, I think. Biting, trenchant sarcasm. The rapier, not the bludgeon, that's my line. But then it's so easy. I'm such a good subject. A bad king, but a good subject. Ha 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 ha! A capital heading for next week's leading article. And then the stinging little paragraphs about our royal goings-on with our royal second housemaid. Delicately sub-acid, are they not?
My dear king, in that kind of thing, no one can hold a candle to you.
But the crowning joke is the comic opera you've written for us, King Tuppence, or a good deal less than half a sovereign, in which the celebrated English tenor, Mr. Wilkinson, burlesques your personal appearance and gives grotesque imitations of your royal peculiarities. It's immense.
Yes, that's what I wanted to speak to you about. Now, I've not the least doubt but that even that has its humorous side, too. If one could only see it. As a rule, I'm pretty quick at detecting latent humor, but I confess I do not quite see where it comes in this particular instance. It's so horribly personal.
Personal? Yes, of course it's personal, but consider the antithetical humor of the situation.
Yes, I don't think I've quite grasped that.
No, you surprise me. Why, consider, during the day, thousands tremble at your frown. During the night, from 8 to 11, thousands roar at it. And during the day, your most arbitrary pronouncements are received by your subjects with abject submission. During the night, they shout with joy at your most terrible decrees. It's not every monarch who enjoys the privilege of undoing by night all the despotic absurdities he's committed during the day.
Of course, now I see it. Thank you very much. I was sure it had its humorous side, and it was very dull of me not to have seen it before. But, as I said just now, it's a quaint world.
Teems with quiet fun.
Yes, properly considered. What a farce life is, to be sure. First you're born, and I'll be bound you'll find a dozen strangers round you. Hello, cries the newborn baby. Where's my parents? Which may they be? Awkward silence, no reply. Puzzled baby wonders why. Father rises, bows politely. Father smiles, but not too brightly. Doctor mumbles like a dumb thing. Nurse is busy mixing something. Every symptom tends to show you're decidedly de trop. Ho, 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 ho. Times the totem, if you spin it, gives its quantum once a minute. I'll go bail you hit the nail, and if you fail, the deuce is in it. Grow up and you discover what it is to be a lover. Some young lady is selected, poor perhaps but well connected, whom you hail for love is blind as the queen of fairy kind. Though she's plain, perhaps unsightly, makes her face up laces tightly. In her form your fancy traces all the gifts of all the graces. Rivals none the maiden woo, so you take her and she takes you. Ho, 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 ho. Just beginning never ceases till your inning time releases. On your way you blindly stray, and day by day the joke increases. 10 years later, time progresses, sours your temper, thins your tresses. Fancy then her chain relaxes, rates are facts and so are taxes. Fairy Queen's no longer young, Fairy Queen has got a tongue. Twins have probably intruded quite unbidden, just as you did. They're a source of care and trouble, just as you were only double. Comes at last the final stroke, time has had its little joke. Ho, 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 ho. Daily driven wife is drover, ill-driven lad in clover. Lastly when 10, and not till then the joke is over. Daily driven wife is drover, ill-driven lad in clover. Lastly when 10, and not till then the joke is over. It's all very well. I always like to look on the humorous side of things, but I do not think I ought to be required to write libels on my own moral character. Naturally, I see the joke of it. Anybody would. But Zara's coming home today. She's no longer a child, and I confess I should not like her to see my opera, though it's uncommonly well written. And I should be sorry if the palace peeper got into her hands, though it's certainly smart. Very smart indeed. It is almost a pity that I have to buy up the whole edition, because it's really too good to be lost. And Lady Sophie, that blameless type of perfect womanhood. Great heavens, what would she say if the second housemaid business happened to meet her pure blue eye?
My monarch is soliloquizing. I will withdraw.
No, pray, don't go. Now I'll give you 50 chances, and you won't guess whom I was thinking of.
Alas, sir, I know too well. Ah, King, it's an old, old story, and I'm well nigh weary of it. Be warned in time. From my heart I pity you, but I am not for you.
But hear what I have to say.
It is useless. Listen. In the course of a long and adventurous career in the principal European courts, it has been revealed to me that I unconsciously exercise a weird and supernatural fascination over all crowned heads. So irresistible is this singular property that there is not a European monarch who has not implored me with tears in his eyes to quit his kingdom and take my fatal charms elsewhere. As time was getting on, it occurred to me that by descending several pegs in the scale of respectability, I might qualify your majesty for my hand. Actuated by this humane motive, and happening to possess respectability enough for 6, I consented to confer respectability enough for 4 upon your 2 younger daughters. But although I have, alas, only respectability enough for 2 left, there is still, as I gather from the public press of this country, a considerable balance in my favor.
Damn! May I ask how you came by this?
It was handed to me by the officer who holds the position of public exploder to your imperial majesty.
And surely, Lady Sophie, surely you are not so unjust as to place any faith in the irresponsible gabble of the society press.
I read on the authority of Senex Senior that your majesty was seen dancing with your second housemaid on the oriental platform of the Tivoli Gardens. That is untrue?
Absolutely. Our second housemaid has only one leg.
How do you know that?
Common report. I give you my honor.
It may be so. I further read, and the statement is vouched for by no less an authority than Mephistopheles Minor, that your majesty indulges in a bath of hot rum punch every morning. I trust I do not lay myself open to the charge of displaying an indelicate curiosity as to the mysteries of the royal dressing room when I ask if there is any foundation for this statement.
None whatever.
When our medical advisor exhibits rum punch, it is as a draught, not as a fermentation. As to our bath, our valet plays the garden hose upon us every morning.
Oh, pray spare me these unseemly details. Well, you are a despot. Have you taken steps to slay this scribbler?
Well, no. I have not gone so far as that. After all, it's the poor devil's living, you know.
It is the poor devil's living that surprises me. If this man lies, there is no recognized punishment that is sufficiently terrible for him.
That's precisely it. I am waiting until a punishment is discovered that will exactly meet the enormity of the case. I am in constant communication with the Mikado of Japan, who is a leading authority on such points, and moreover I have the ground plans and sectional elevations of several capital punishments in my desk at this moment. Oh, Lady Sophie, as you are powerful, be merciful.
Subjected to your heavenly gaze, poetical phrase, my brain is turned completely. Observe me now, no monarch I vow was ever so far afflicted.
I'm pleased with that particle face, a heavenly gaze. But though you put it neatly, say what you will, these paragraphs still remain uncontradicted. Come crush me this contemptible worm. A forcible term, if he's assailed you wrongly, the rage display, which as you say, has moved your majesty lately.
Though I admit that forcible term, contemptible worm appeals to me most strongly. To treat this pest as you suggest would pain my majesty greatly.
This writer lies.
Yes, bother his eyes.
He lives, you say.
In a sort of a way.
Then have him shot.
Decidedly not.
Or crush him flat.
I cannot do that. For royal blameless acts abhor such conduct shady. I plead in vain, I never will gain respectable English lady.
escort first lifeguards. On the royal yacht when the waves were white, in a helmet hot and a tunic tight and a great big boots, we defied the storm for now big boots and a uniform of a well-good troop and air escorts, and we are the escort first lifeguards. The first lifeguards, the first lifeguards. And we are the escort first lifeguards.
These gentlemen I present to you, the pride and boast of their barrack yachts. They've taken such care of me.
For we are the escort first lifeguards. When the tempest rose and the ship went so, do you suppose we were ill? No, 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 long it's locked in a tunic tight, in a helmet hot, and a breastplate white, with a well-good troop and air escort, we stood as the escort first lifeguards. The first lifeguards, the first lifeguards. We stood as the escort first lifeguards. First lifeguards, first lifeguards, and 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 bring it up high.
Sarah, my beloved daughter, why, how well you look, and how lovely you have grown.
My dear father, and my two beautiful little sisters.
Not beautiful. Nice looking.
But first, let me present to you the English warrior who commands my escort, and who has taken oh such care of me during the voyage, Captain Fitz Battleaxe.
And we are the escort first lifeguards. When the tempest rose and the ship went so, do you suppose we are...
Sir, you come from a country where every virtue flourishes. We trust that you will not criticize too severely such shortcomings as you may detect in our semi-barbarous society.
Sir, I have eyes for nothing but the blameless and the beautiful.
We thank you. He is really very polite. Lady Sophie, do not leave us.
Sir, your children are young and so far innocent. If they are to remain so, it is necessary that they be at once removed from the contamination of their present disgraceful surroundings.
Dear, dear, they really shouldn't. Captain Fitzbattleaxe.
Sir!
Your troopers appear to be receiving a troublesome amount of attention from those young ladies. I know how strict you English soldiers are, and I should be extremely distressed if anything occurred to shock their puritanical British sensitiveness.
Oh, I don't think there's any chance of that.
You think not? They won't be offended?
Oh, no. They're quite hardened to it. They get a good deal of that sort of thing standing sentry at the Horse Guards.
It's English, is it?
It's particularly English.
Then, of course, it's all right. Pray proceed, ladies. It's particularly English. Come, my daughter, for we have much to say to each other.
Farewell, Captain Fitz Battleaxe. I cannot thank you too emphatically for the devoted care with which you have watched over me during our long and eventful voyage.
Against soldier brave and true, intended field and tourney, I grieve to have occasioned so very long a journey. A British soldier gives up his home and island beauty, when so big by the trumpet call of regiment.
Oh my God, my fly, my fly, tonight, and see the fly, and do it here, and see the fly,
Such escort duty as is due to a young lifeguard's
man falling completely reconciles him to his uneventful calling. When soldier seeks utopian glades in charge of youth and beauty, then pleasure merely masquerades as regimental duty. Let's jump on and roll some cars. We of the escort first lifeguards. The yards are close to the doors and open my eyes. We open the doors and test the pairs. We feel the rain for giving up happy birds. Singing around the world. Singing around the
There, tell me, Scapio, is she not beautiful? Can you wonder that I love her so passionately?
No, she is extraordinarily, miraculously lovely. Good heavens, what a singularly beautiful girl.
I knew you would say so.
What exquisite charm of manner. What surprising delicacy of gesture. Why, she is a goddess, a very goddess.
Yes, she's an attractive girl.
Attractive? Why, you must be blind. She's entrancing, enthralling, intoxicating. God bless my heart. What's the matter with me?
Yes, you promised to help me to get her father's consent, you know.
Promise, yes, but the convulsion has come. My good boy, it is she, my ideal. Why, what's this? Fantasy? Stop me! I'm going mad! Mad with love of her!
Scapio, compose yourself, I beg. The girl is perfectly opaque. Besides, remember, each of us is helpless without the other. You can't succeed without my consent, you know.
And you dare to threaten. Oh, ungrateful. When you came to me, palsied with love for this girl, and implored my assistance, did I not unhesitatingly promise it? And this is the return you make? Out of my sight, ingrate! Dear, what is the matter with me?
Dear me, I'm afraid we're interrupting a tete-a-tete.
No. You come very appropriately. To be brief, we love you. This man and I, madly, passionately.
Sir!
And we don't know how we are to settle which of us is to marry you.
Zara, this is very awkward.
I am paralyzed by the singular radiance of your extraordinary loveliness. I know I am incoherent. I never was like this before. It shall not occur again. I shall be fluent presently.
Oh, dear. Captain Fitzbattleaxe, what is to be done?
Leave it to me. I'll manage it. It's a common situation. Why not settle it in the English fashion?
The English fashion? What is that?
It's very simple. In England, when two gentlemen are in love with the same lady, and until it is settled which gentleman is to blow out the brains of the other, it is provided by the Rival Admirers Clauses Consolidation Act that the lady shall be entrusted to an officer of household cavalry as stakeholder, who is bound to hand her over to the survivor on the tontine principle, in a good condition of substantial and decorative repair.
Reasonable wear and tear and damages by fire accepted.
Exactly.
Well, that seems very reasonable. What do you say? Shall we entrust her to this officer of household cavalry? It will give us time.
I am not at present in a condition to think it out coolly. But if he is an officer of household cavalry, and if the princess consents...
Alas, dear sirs, I have no alternative under the Rival Admirers Clauses Consolidation Act.
Good, then that's settled.
It's understood, I think, around that by the English custom bound I hold the lady safe and sound in trust for either rival, until you clearly testify by sword or pistol by and by which gentleman prefers to die, and which prefers survival. It's clearly understood around that vital English custom bound he holds the lady safe and sound in trust for either rival, until we clearly testify by sword or pistol
should die and he should live to you without reserve. I give her heart so young and sensitive and all her predilections.
If he should live and I should die, I see no kind of reason why you should not, if you wish it, try to gain a young affection. If I should die,
I see no kind of reason why you should not, if you wish it, try to gain a young affections. As both of us are positive, that both of us are right, if there's much of something to give us all her predilections. If he should live and I should die, I see no kind of reason why we should not, if I wish it, try to gain a young affections. And intention, oh happy intervention, oh well-constructed plot, oh well-constructed plot. When sages try to part to loving hearts' infusion, their wisdoms are delusion, and learning serves them not, and learning serves them not, until quite plain is their intent. The sages twain I represent. Now please infer that nothing loth, nor henceforth as it were engaged to marry both, and take it that I represent the two. On that hypothesis, what would you do?
What would I do? What would I do? In such a case, upon your breast, my blushing face, I think I'd rest. Then perhaps I might demurely say, I find this raspberry bright is solely in the way.
Mortal race is never blessed. There's no such case as perfect rest. Some petty blight asserts its sway. Some crumpled rose leaf light is always in the way.
Such a case
is never blessed. There's no such case as perfect rest. Perfect rest. Perfect rest. Is perfect rest.
My daughter, at last we are alone together.
Yes, and I'm glad we are, for I want to speak to you very seriously. Do you know this paper?
Damn. Oh, yes, I've seen it. Where in the world did you get this from?
It was given to me by Lady Sophie, my sister's governess.
Lady Sophie's an angel, but I do sometimes wish she'd mind her own business. It's rather humorous.
I see nothing humorous in it. I only see that you, the despotic king of this country, are made the subject of the most scandalous insinuations. Why do you permit these things?
Well, they appeal to my sense of humor. It's the only really comic paper in Utopia, and I wouldn't be without it for the world.
If it had any literary merit, I could understand it.
Oh, it has literary merit. Oh, distinctly, it has literary merit.
My dear father, it's mere ungrammatical twaddle.
Oh, it's not ungrammatical. I can't allow that. Unpleasantly personal, perhaps, but written with an epigrammatical point that is very rare nowadays. Very rare indeed.
Why do they represent you with such a big nose?
Eh? Yes, it is a big one. Why, the fact is that in the cartoons of a comic paper, the size of your nose always varies inversely as the square of your popularity. It's the rule.
Then you must be at a tremendous discount just now. I see a notice of a new piece called King Tuppence, in which an English tenor has the audacity to personate you on a public stage. I can only say that I am surprised that any English tenor should lend himself to such degrading personalities.
Oh, he's not really English. As it happens, he's a Utopian, but he calls himself English.
Calls himself English?
Yes, bless you. They wouldn't listen to any tenor who didn't call himself English.
And you permit this insolent buffoon to caricature you in a pointless burlesque? My dear father, if you were a free agent, you would never permit these outrages.
Zara, I admit I am not altogether a free agent. I am controlled. I try to make the best of it, but sometimes I find it very difficult indeed. Nominally a despot, I am, between ourselves, the helpless tool of two unscrupulous wise men who insist on my falling in with all their wishes and threaten to denounce me for immediate explosion if I remonstrate.
My poor father. Now listen to me. With a view to remodeling the political and social institutions of Utopia, I have brought with me 6 representatives of the principal causes that have tended to make England the powerful, happy, and blameless country which the consensus of European civilization has declared it to be. Place yourself unreservedly in the hands of these gentlemen, and they will reorganize your country on a footing that will enable you to defy your persecutors. They are all now washing their hands after their journey. Shall I introduce them?
My dear Zara, how can I thank you? I will consent to anything that will release me from the abominable tyranny of these 2 men. But ho! Without there! Summon my court without an instant's delay. My beloved daughter most thoughtfully has brought with her from England the types of all the causes that have made that great and glorious country what it is.
Oh, joy unbounded!
Why, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean?
Attend to me, Utopian populace, is of Pacific Island viviparians. All in the abstract types of courtly grace, yet when complete with
ideas on any subject I can scout, and demonstrate beyond all possibility of doubt, that whether you're an honest man or whether you're a thief, depends on whose solicitor has given me my brief.
Yes, 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 that whether you're an honest man or whether you're a thief, depends on whose solicitor has given him his brief. Ularica, Ularica, Ularica.
What these may be, you tokens of, perhaps you'll hardly guess. The types of England's physical and moral cleanliness. This is a Lord High Chamberlain, a purity the gauge. Your claims are good from moral state, and purify our stage.
Yes, 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 what reputations I revise, and presentations scrutinize. You place I meet with jealous eyes, and purify the stage. What reputations here revise, and presentations scrutinize. You place me with jealous eyes, and purifies the stage.
This county councillor acclaim Great Britain's latest toy. On anything you like to name, his talents he'll employ. All streets and squares he'll purify within your city walls, and keep meanwhile a modest eye on wicked music halls.
Yes, 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 in towns I make improvements great, which go to swell the county rate. I dwell in houses sanitate and purify the homes.
In towns he makes improvements great, which go to swell the county rate. In dwelling houses sanitate and purify the homes. Ularica, Ularica, Ularica.
A company promoted this with special education, which teaches what candangle needs and also backwardation. To speculators he supplies a ground for each to live in. Time was meant to accompany, but now it must be 7.
Yes, 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 time was meant to accompany, but now it must be 7. Stupendous loans to foreign thrones I've largely advocated. In ginger pops and peppermint drops I've freely speculated. Then mines of gold with wealth untold successfully I floated, and sudden falls in apple stores continually quoted. And soon or late I always call for stock exchange quotation. No schemes too great and none too small for companification.
Yes, 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 there seems too great and none too small for companification.
And lastly I present great Britain's proudest boast, who from the blows of foreign foes protects her sea-girt coast. And if you ask him in respectful tone, he'll show you how you may protect your own.
I'm Captain Corcoran, KCB. I'll teach you how we rule the sea and terrify the simple Gaul, and how the Saxon and the Celt the Europe shaking blows have dealt with Maxim, gun, and Nordenfelt, or will when the occasion calls. If sailor-like you'd lay your cards, unbend your sails and lower your yards, unstep your mast, you'll never want a more. Though we're no longer hearts of oak, yet we can steer and we can stoke. And thanks to coal and thanks to coke, we never run a ship ashore.
What's never?
No, never.
What's never?
Oh, never.
Never a ship ashore. Then if creatures and creatures fall from the tower, we'll never run a ship ashore. And if creatures and creatures fall, you never run a ship ashore.
Increase your army, glorify your court. Get up your steam and cut your canvas short.
To speak on both sides, keep your sluggish brains.
Widen your thoroughfares and flush your drains. Utopia's much too big for one small head. I'll float it as a company limited.
A company limited? What may that be? The term I rather think is new to me.
A company limited? What will it be?
What does he mean? What does he mean? Give us some kind of clue. What does he mean? What does he mean? What is he going to do?
Some 7 men form an association, if possible, of peers and baronets. They start off with the public declaration, to what extent they mean to pay the debts. That's called their capital. If they are wary, they will not quote it at a sum immense. The figure's immaterial, it may vary from 18 million down to 18 pence. I should put it rather low. The good sense of doing so will be evident at once to any debtor, when it's left for you to say what amount you mean to pay. Why, the lower you can put it at the better.
When it's left for you to say what amount you mean to pay, why, the lower you can put it at the better.
They then proceed to trade with all who trust them, quite irrespective of their capital. It's shady, but it's sanctified by custom. Bank, railway loan, or Panama Canal, you can't embark on trading too tremendous. It's strictly fair and based on common sense.
If you succeed, your profits are stupendous, and if you fail, pop goes your 18 pence. Make the money spin a spin, for you only stand to win, and you'll never with dishonesty be twitted, for nobody can know to a million or so to what extent your capital's committed.
For nobody can know to a million or so to what extent your capital's committed.
If you come to grief and creditors are craving, for nothing that is planned by mortal head is certain in this vale of sorrow, saving that one's liability is limited. Do you suppose it signifies perdition if so you're but a monetary dunce? You merely file a winding up petition and start another company at once. Though a Rothschild you may be in your own capacity, as a company you come to utter sorrow, but the liquidators say, never mind, you needn't pay. So you start another company tomorrow.
But the liquidators say, never mind, you needn't pay. So you start another company tomorrow.
Well, at first sight, it strikes us as dishonest. But if it's good enough for virtuous England, the first commercial country in the world, it's good enough for us.
You best take care, please recollect, we have not been consulted.
And do I understand you that Great Britain, upon this joint stock principle, is governed?
We haven't come to that exactly, but we're tending rapidly in that direction. The date's not distant.
We shall be before you. We'll go down to posterity, renowned as the first sovereign in Christendom, who registered his crown and country under the Joint Stock Company Act of 62. Henceforward of a vanity, with titles of we link, we'll go down to posterity, of sovereigns all the pink.
If you've the temerity, or wishes us to blink, you'll go down to posterity much earlier than you think.
Up to posterity, and I inflict the blow.
You'll go down to posterity, we think we ought to know.
He'll go up, blown up with dynamite.
You go up, of course he will, you're right, up, 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 up.
Love with sincerity, then wisely safely think.
And as for our posterity, go up to posterity until they think. You go up to posterity much earlier than you think. You go up to posterity much earlier than you think. You go up, 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 you go up. It's forward of the back. It's forward of the back. It's forward of the back. Let's seal this record on practice, every man shall know. It gives whatever we let the statement strictly true. All hail astonishing fact, all hail invention new. Our joints of company and the better estates Zara, my beloved one, bear with me. I do not laugh at my attempted sin. Repent not, mocking maid, thy girlhood's choice, the fervor of my love affects my voice. A tenor all singers above, this doesn't admit of a question. Should keep himself quiet, attend to his diet, and carefully nurse his digestion. But when he is madly in love, it's certain to tell on his singing. You can't do chromatics with proper emphatics when anguish your bosom is wringing. When distracted with worries of plenty, and his pulse is 120, and his fluttering bosom the slave of mistrust is, a tenor can't do himself justice. Now observe. You see, I can't do myself justice. I could sing if my fervor were mock. It's easy enough if you're acting. But when one's emotion is born of devotion, you mustn't be over-exacting. One ought to be firm as a rock, to venture a shake in vibrato. When fervor's expected, keep cool and collected, and never attempt agitato. But of course, when his tongue is of leather, and his lips appear pasted together, and his sensitive palate as dry as a crust is, a tenor can't do himself justice. Now observe. It's no use, I can't do myself justice.
Why, Arthur, what does it matter? When the higher qualities of the heart are all that can be desired, the higher notes of the voice are matters of comparative insignificance. Who thinks slightingly of the coconut because it is husky? Besides, you are not singing for an engagement. You have that already.
How good and wise you are! How unerringly your practiced brain winnows the wheat from the chaff, the material from the merely incidental.
My Girton training, Arthur. At Girton all is wheat, and idle chaff is never heard within its walls. But tell me, is not all working marvelously well? Have not our flowers of progress more than justified their name?
We have indeed done our best. Captain Corcoran and I have, in concert, thoroughly remodeled the sister services, and upon so sound a basis that the South Pacific trembles at the name of Utopia.
How clever of you!
Clever? Not a bit. It's as easy as possible when the Admiralty and Horse Guards are not there to interfere. And so are the others, freed from the trammels imposed upon them by idle acts of Parliament. All have given their natural talents full play and introduced reforms which, even in England, were never dreamt of.
But perhaps the most beneficent change of all has been effected by Mr. Goldberry, who, discarding the exploded theory that some strange magic lies hidden in the number 7, has applied the limited liability principle to individuals, and every man, woman, and child is now a company limited with liability restricted to the amount of his declared capital. There is not a christened baby in Utopia who has not already issued his little prospectus.
Marvelous is the power of a civilization which can transmute, by a word, a limited income into an income limited.
Reform has not stopped here. It has been applied even to the costume of our people. Discarding their own barbaric dress, the natives of our land have unanimously adopted the tasteful fashions of England in all their rich entirety. Scaffio and Fantis have undertaken a contract to supply the whole of Utopia with clothing designed upon the most approved English models, and the first drawing room under the new state of things is to be held here this evening.
But drawing rooms are always held in the afternoon.
We've improved upon that. We all look so much better by candlelight. And when I tell you, dearest, that my court train has just arrived, you will understand that I am longing to go and try it on.
Then we must part?
Necessarily, for a time.
Just as I wanted to tell you, with all the passionate enthusiasm of my nature, how deeply, how devotedly I love you.
Hush! Are these the accents of a heart that really feels? True love does not indulge in declamation. Its voice is sweet and soft and low. The west wind whispers when he woos the poplars.
Words of love to love the spark and breathe the overtime near. Noisy vows are rudely broken, soft as soon of whisper sweetly, whisper softly, all my hour and day by day, sweet and low as accents holy, are the notes of lover's Sweet and low, sweet and low, sweet and low as accents holy, are the notes of lover's lay, are the notes of lover's lay.
That the conqueror flushed with glory bid his noisy clarions bray. Lovers tell their artless story in a whispered delay. False is he whose vows alluring make the listening echoes ring. Sweet and low when all enduring are the songs that lovers sing.
Sweet and low, sweet and low, sweet and low when all enduring are the songs that lovers sing, are the songs that lovers sing. Sweet and low, sweet and
To a monarch who has been accustomed to the uncontrolled use of his limbs, the costume of a British field marshal is perhaps at first a little cramping. Are you sure this is all right? It's not a practical joke, is it? No one has a keener sense of humor than I have. But the first statutory cabinet council of Utopia, Limited, must be conducted with dignity and impressiveness. Now, where are the other 5 who signed the Articles of Association?
Sir, they are here.
Oh, gentlemen, our daughter holds her first drawing room in half an hour, and we shall have time to make our half-yearly report in the interval. I am necessarily unfamiliar with the forms of an English cabinet council. Perhaps the Lord Chamberlain will kindly put us in the way of doing the thing properly, and with due regard to the solemnity of the occasion.
Certainly. Nothing simpler. Kindly bring your chairs forward. His Majesty will, of course, preside.
Yeah, like this?
Like this.
We take your word for it that this is all right. You are not making fun of us. This is in accordance with the practice at the court of St. James's.
Well, it is in accordance with the practice at the court of St. James's Hall.
It seems odd, but never mind.
Society has quite forsaken all her wicked courses, which empties our police courts and abolishes divorces.
Divorce is nearly obsolete in England.
No tolerance is shown to undeserving rank and splendor, for the higher his position is, the greater the offender.
That's a maxim that is prevalent in England.
No peeress at her drawing room before the presence passes who wouldn't be accepted by the lower middle classes. Each shady dame, whatever be her rank, is bowed out neatly.
In short, this happy country has been anglicized completely, completely, completely. It really is surprising what a learning is like. We have had many trophies from another land. In her education room, she is England with the roots, which is dutifully offered to her motherland.
Our city we have beautified, we've done it willy-nilly, and all that isn't Belgrave Square is Strand and Piccadilly.
We haven't any slummeries in England.
We have solved the labor question with discrimination polished. Now poverty is obsolete and hunger is abolished.
We are going to abolish it in England.
The Chamberlain, our native stage, has purged beyond the question of risky situation and indelicate suggestion. No piece is tolerated if it's costumed indiscreetly.
In short, this happy country has been anglicized completely, completely, completely. It really is surprising what a learning is like. We have had many trophies from another land. In her education room, she is England with the roots, which is dutifully offered to her motherland.
Our peerage we've remodeled on an intellectual basis, which certainly is rough on our hereditary races.
We're going to remodel it in England.
The brewers and the cotton lords no longer seek admission, and literary merit meets with proper recognition.
As literary merit does in England.
Who knows what we may count among our intellectual chickens, like you, an Earl of Thackeray, and perhaps a Duke of Dickens. Lord Phyllis and Viscount Willey, when they come, will welcome sweetly.
In short, this happy country has been anglicized completely, completely, completely. It really is surprising what a learning is like. We have had many trophies from another land. Her enterprising woman, she is England with the roots, which is dutifully offered to her motherland. It really is surprising what a learning is like. We have had many trophies from another land. Her enterprising woman, she is England with the roots, which is dutifully offered to her motherland.
Now then, for our first drawing room. Oh, where are the princesses? What an extraordinary thing it is that since European looking glasses have been supplied to the royal bedrooms, my daughters are invariably late.
Sir, their royal highnesses await your pleasure in the anteroom.
Oh, then request them to do us the favor to enter at once. Fathers, we are about to attempt a very solemn ceremonial, so no giggling, if you please. Now, my Lord Chamberlain, we are ready.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, places if you please. His Majesty will take his place in front of the throne and will be so obliging as to embrace all the debutantes.
What? Must I really?
Absolutely indispensable.
More jam for the palace peeper. Now, is everyone in his place?
Everyone is in his place.
Then let the revels commence.
Displays to copy all Great Britain's courtly ways, though lofty aim catastrophe entail, will gloriously succeed honorably fail. English men who reign supreme, their undertaking they redeem by stifling every harmless scheme in which we both engage.
They do.
In which we both engage.
We think it is our turn.
We do.
We think our turn has come.
We do.
These Englishmen, they must prepare to seek at once their native air. The king as heretofore we swear shall be beneath our thumb.
He shall
be beneath our thumb. For this wasn't me, and this will do. If you'll back me, then I'll back you. No, this will do. No, this wasn't me. No, this wasn't me. No, this will do.
This will do. Gentlemen, really, this unseemly display of energy within the royal precincts is altogether unpardonable. Pray, what do you complain of?
What do we complain of? Why, through the innovations introduced by the flowers of progress, all our harmless schemes for making a provision for our old age are ruined. Our matrimonial agency is at a standstill. Our cheap sherry business is in bankruptcy. Our army clothing contracts are paralyzed. And even our society paper, the Palace Peeper, is practically defunct.
Defunct? Is that so? Dear, I am truly sorry.
Are you aware that Sir Bailey Barr has introduced a law of libel by which all editors of scurrilous newspapers are publicly flogged, as in England? And 6 of our editors have resigned in succession. Now, the editor of a scurrilous paper can stand a good deal. He takes a private thrashing as a matter of course. It's considered in his salary. But no gentleman likes to be publicly flogged.
Naturally, I shouldn't like it myself.
Then our burlesque theatre is absolutely ruined.
Dear me. Well, theatrical property is not what it was.
Are you aware that the Lord Chamberlain, who has his own views as to the best means of elevating the national drama, has declined to license any play that is not in blank verse and 300 years old, as in England?
And as if that wasn't enough, the county councillor has ordered a 4-foot wall to be put up right across the proscenium in case of fire, as in England.
It's so hard on the company, who are liable to be roasted alive. And this has to be met by enormously increased salaries, as in England.
You probably know that we've contracted to supply the entire nation with a complete English outfit. But perhaps you do not know that when we send in our bills, our customers plead liability limited to a declared capital of 18 pence and apply to be dealt with under the Winding Up Act, as in England.
Really, gentlemen, this is very irregular. If you will be so good as to formulate a detailed list of your grievances in writing, addressed to the Secretary of Utopia Limited, they will be laid before the board in due course at their next monthly meeting.
Are we to understand that we are defied?
That is the idea I intended to convey.
Defied? We are defied?
Take care! You know our powers. Trifle with us and you die! If you think that when banded in unity, we may both be defied with impunity, you are sadly misled of the verity.
If you die in repose and tranquility, you revert to a state of facility, or prepare to regret your temerity.
If my speech is unduly refractory, you will find it at course satisfactory at an early board meeting to show it up. Though with proper excuse you can trump any, you may wind up a limited company. You cannot conveniently blow it up. Whene'er I chance to baffle you, I also dance a step or two. Of this now guess the hidden sense. Of this now guess the hidden sense. Means complete indifference.
Of course it does, of course it does. It means complete indifference.
Indifference, indifference, indifference.
As we for dance for every good, with blood and twelve, we will conclude what this may be. The talk may guess, it cheap advice, remorselessness, remorselessness, remorselessness.
It means unruffled cheerfulness.
Remorselessness, remorselessness, it means unruffled cheerfulness.
He's right. We are helpless. He's no longer a human being. He's a corporation. And so long as he confines himself to his articles of association, we can't touch him. What are we to do?
Raise a revolution. Repeal the Act of 62, reconvert him into an individual, and insist on his immediate explosion. Aurora, come here. You're the very man we want.
Certainly. Allow me. Oh, that's rude.
We have no time for idle forms. You wish to succeed to the throne?
Naturally.
Then you won't unless you join us. The king has defied us, and as matters stand, we are helpless. So are you. We must devise some plot at once to bring the people about his ears.
A plot?
Yes, a plot of superhuman subtlety. Have you such a thing about you?
No, I think not. No! There's one on my dressing table.
We can't wait. We must concoct one at once and put it into execution without delay. There is not a moment to spare.
With wine, we brain upon the spot of private plot. We'll plan the most ingenious private plots since private plots began. That's understood. So far we've got, and striking while the iron's hot. We'll now determine like a shot the details of this private plot.
I think we ought.
Such plot I never heard. Ah, happy thought.
How utterly dashed absurd.
I'll tell you how.
Why, what put that in your head?
I've got it now.
Oh, take him away to bed. Oh, put him to bed.
Yes, put him to bed.
What put me to bed?
Yes, certainly put him to bed.
But bless me, don't you see?
You listen to me, I pray.
It certainly seems to me.
Bah! This is the only way.
It's rubbish absurd, you growl.
You talk ridiculous stuff.
You're a revealing bundle.
You're a vapid and vain old love. You're a vain old love.
You're a revealing bundle.
You're a vapid and vain old love. So far we haven't quite solved the plot. They're not a very ingenious lot. But don't be unhappy, it's still on the tabby. We'll presently hit on a capital plot.
Suppose we are.
Now there, I think you're right. Then we might all.
That's certainly true, we might. I'll tell you what.
We will if we possibly can. They're on the spot.
Bravo, a capital plan.
That's exceedingly neat and new.
Exceedingly new and neat.
I fancy that will do.
It's certainly very complete.
Well done, you sly old sap.
Bravo, you cunning old mole.
You're a very ingenious sap.
You intellectual soul.
You're very ingenious.
You intellectual sap.
At last a capital plan we've got. We won't say how and we won't say what. It's safe in my mouth, now off we will toddle and slightly develop this capital plot. At length the capital plan we've got. We won't say how and we won't say what. It's safe in my mouth, now off we will toddle and slightly develop this capital plot.
What do you think of our first South Pacific drawing room? Allowing for a slight difficulty with the trains and a little want of familiarity with the use of the rouge pot, it was, on the whole, a meritorious affair.
My dear Drumley, it redounds infinitely to your credit.
One or two judicious innovations, I think.
Admirable. The cup of tea and the plate of mixed biscuits were a cheap and effective inspiration.
Yes, my idea entirely. Never been done before.
Pretty little maids, the king's youngest daughters, but timid.
That'll wear off. Young.
That'll wear off. Huh? Here they come, by George, and without the dragon. What can they have done with her?
Oh, if you please, Lady Sophie has sent us in here because Zara and Captain Fitzbadley
Cadillacs are going on in the garden in a manner which no well-conducted young ladies ought to witness.
Indeed, we are very much obliged to her ladyship.
Are you? I wonder why. Don't tell us if it's rude.
Rude? Not at all. We are obliged to Lady Sophie because she has afforded us the pleasure of seeing you.
I don't think you ought to talk to us like that.
It's calculated to turn our heads.
Attractive girls cannot be too particular.
Oh, pray, do not take advantage of our unprotected innocence.
Pray be reassured. You are in no danger whatever.
But may I ask, is this extreme delicacy, this shrinking sensitiveness, a general characteristic of utopian young ladies?
Oh, no. We are crack specimens.
We are the pip of the basket. Would you mind not coming quite so near? Thank you.
And please don't look at us like that. It unsettles us.
And we don't like it. At least we do like it, but it's wrong.
We have enjoyed the inestimable privilege of being educated by a most refined and easily shocked English lady on the very strictest English principles.
But my dear young lady.
Oh, don't! You mustn't. It's too affectionate.
It really does unsettle us.
Are you really under the impression that English girls are so ridiculously demure? Why? An English girl of the highest type is the best, the most beautiful, the bravest and the brightest creature that heaven has conferred upon this world of ours. She is frank, open-hearted and fearless, and never shows in so favorable a light as when she gives her own blameless impulses full play.
Oh, you shocking story!
Not at all. I'm speaking the strict truth. I'll tell you all about her. A wonderful joy our eyes to bless, in her magnificent comeliness, is an English girl of 11 stone 2 and 5'10" in her dancing shoe. She follows the hounds and on she pounds, the field tails off and the muffs diminish. Over the hedges and brook she pounds, straight as a crow from vine to finish. At cricket her kin will lose or win, she and her maids on grass and clover, 11 maids out, 11 maids in, and perhaps an occasional maiden over. Go search the world and search the sea, then come you home and sing with me. There's no such gold and no such pearl as a bright and a beautiful English girl. With a 10-mile spin she stretches her limbs, she golfs, she punts, she rows, she swims, she plays, she sings, she dances too, from 10 or 11 till all is blue. At all or till all hours come, chaperone's fan conceals her yawning, she'll waltz away like a teetotum, and never go home till daylight's dawning. Lawn tennis may share her favor rare, her eyes are dancing and her cheeks are glowing, down comes her hair, but what does she care? It's all her own and it's worth the showing. Go search the world and search the sea, then come you home and sing with me. There's no such gold and no such pearl as a bright and a beautiful English girl. Her soul is sweet as the ocean air, for prudery knows no haven there. To find mock modesty, please apply to the conscious blush and the downcast eye.
rich in the things contentment brings, in every pure enjoyment wealthy, blithe as a beautiful bird she sings, for body and mind are hale and healthy. Her eyes they thrill with right goodwill, her heart is light as a floating feather, as pure and as bright as the mountain rill that leaps and laughs in the highland heather. Ah, go search the world and search the sea, then come you home and sing with me. There's no such gold and no such pearl as a bright and a beautiful English girl.
That I may sing and play,
You
that
may.
I may laugh and shout,
No doubt.
each maxims you endorse,
Of course.
you won't exclaim or fight. That I may sing and play, that I may laugh and shout, you won't exclaim or fight.
Whatever you are, be that. Whatever you say, be true. Straightforwardly act, be honest in fact, be nobody else but you.
Give every answer pat, your character true unfurl, and when it is ripe, you'll then be a type of a capital English girl.
Oh, sweet surprise, oh dear delight, to find it undisputed right. Oh, musty rules his life, that heart is wrong and nature right. Oh, sweet surprise, oh dear delight, to find it undisputed right. Oh, musty rules his life, that heart is wrong and nature right.
When happy I with laughter glad, I'll wake the echoes fairly, and only sigh when I'm sad, and that will be but rarely. I row in fish and gallop soon, no longer be a prim one, and when I wish to hum a tune, it needn't be a hymn one.
No,
It needn't be a hymn one.
Oh, sweet surprise, oh dear delight, to find it undisputed right. Oh, musty rules his life, that heart is wrong and nature right. Oh, sweet surprise, oh dear delight, to find it undisputed right. Oh, musty rules his life, that heart is wrong and nature right.
Oh, would some demon power gift impart to quell my overconscientious heart, unspeak the oaths that never had been spoken, and break the vow which never shall be broken. When but a maid of 15 years unsought, What a mask on nature's face! Ah me, is but a mask on nature's face. On nature's face.
Ah, Lady Sophie, then you love me, for so you sing.
No, no, by the stars that shine above me, degraded king. For while these rumors through the city bruited, remain uncontradicted, unrefuted, the object now of my aversion rooted, repulsive thing.
Be just, the time is now at hand when truth may published be. These paragraphs were written and contributed by me.
By you? No, no.
Yes, yes, I swear, by me. I, caught in Scaphio's ruthless toil, contributed the lot.
And that is why you did not boil the author on the spot.
And that is why I did not boil the author on the spot.
I couldn't think why you did not boil the author on the spot.
Boil him on the spot.
O rapture unrestrained of candid retractation, for my sovereign has deigned a convincing explanation, and the clouds that gathered o'er all have vanished in the distance, and of kings of fairy law one at least is in existence. Of kings of fairy law one at least is in existence.
For the skies are blue above, and the earth is red and rosal, for the lady of my love has accepted my proposal. For that Asinorum bonds I have crossed without assistance, and a prudish Paragons one at least is in existence. Of prudish Paragons one at least is in existence. The clouds that gathered o'er have vanished, have vanished in the distance. All have vanished, all have vanished, all have vanished, vanished, vanished in the distance.
reforms of major progress. Down with them, down with them. Down with the cause of progress. Down with the cause of progress. Down with them, down with them, down with them, down with them. Down with the cause of progress.
What means this most unmannerly eruption? Is this your gratitude for boons conferred?
Boons? Bah! A fico for such boons, say we. These boons have brought Utopia to a standstill. Our pride and boast, the Army and the Navy, have both been reconstructed and remodeled upon so irresistible a basis that all the neighboring nations have disarmed, and war's impossible. Your county councillor has passed such drastic sanitary laws that all the doctors dwindle, starve, and die. The laws remodeled by Sir Bailey Barr have quite extinguished crime and litigation. The lawyers starve, and all the jails are let as model lodgings for the working classes. In short, Utopia, swamped by dull prosperity, demands that these detested flowers of progress be sent about their business and affairs restored to their original complexion.
My daughter, this is a very unpleasant state of things. What is to be done?
I don't know. I don't understand it. We must have omitted something.
Omitted something? Yes, that's all very well, but
Of course! Now I remember. Why, I had forgotten the most essential element of all.
And that is?
Government by party. Introduce that great and glorious element, at once the bulwark and foundation of England's greatness, and all will be well. No political measures will endure, because one party will assuredly undo all that the other party has done. And while grouse is to be shot, and foxes worried to death, the legislative action of the country will be at a standstill. Then there will be sickness and plenty, endless lawsuits, crowded jails, interminable confusion in the army and navy, and in short, general and unexampled prosperity.
But an hour will come.
Your hour has come already. Away with them, and let them wait my will. From this moment, government by party is adopted, with all its attendant blessings. And henceforward, Utopia will no longer be a monarchy limited, but what is a great deal better, a limited monarchy!
There's a little grove of isles beyond the reef, so tiny you might almost wonder where it is. That nation is the bravest of the brave, and cowards are the rarest of all rarities. The proudest nation see that her command. She terrifies a foreign-born scallions, and holds the peace of Europe in her hand with half a score invincible battalions.
Such a beast is the tale which is born on the gale from the island which dwells in the sea. Let us hope for her sake that she makes no mistake, that she's all she professes to be.
Oh, may we copy all her maxims wise, and imitate her virtues and her charities, and may we by degrees acclimatize her parliamentary peculiarities. By doing so we shall in course of time regenerate completely our entire land. Great Britain is that monarchy sublime to which some add but others do not Ireland.
Such a beast is the tale which is born on the gale from the island which dwells in the sea. Let us hope